You know, when we wake up in the morning, we have a myriad of thoughts that go through our heads. Like, what was that song? What day is it? What time is it? What am I wearing today? Even what am I going to have for breakfast? Is it Cocoa Pops or Fruit Loops? I'm sure you don't have that. But you see, we have thousands of thoughts that go through our head, and most of them aren't conscious. In actual fact, it's around 90%. But these are the thoughts that drive our behaviours, drive our assumptions, and even drive our values. Now, as a leader, are we leading well if 90% of our thoughts are the exact same as yesterday? And what can we do about that? You know, have you ever had a communication fail? Or perhaps a project that didn't land on time? And so this is what I've been working with leaders around the world. And what I discovered is most of us aren't really present. And to be truly conscious and to be that conscious leader, it's about being present in the moment. You see, brain imaging technology shows us that we react in 1/25th of a second before we even speak. And that's why there's so much miscommunication. Husbands and wives or partners can fight for up to 2 days because of the raise of an eyebrow at the wrong time. True story. And so I understood that over the last 10 years, I've been speaking about conscious communication. And leadership is all around the way we communicate. So I really want to share with you my book. I want to go through a couple of the chapters with you and take you on the journey why this was written. So I've got some quotes here that I'm going to share with you. And my first chapter was all around self-leadership, because it starts with us. And when my business went global and we expanded so quickly and brought on 18 staff in 2 years, I discovered that it wasn't the massage chair that they needed in the office and the bean bags, which I thought was a great idea, using Richard Branson as my mentor. What I discovered were people were different. It wasn't the same thing for everyone that everyone needed. So self-leadership, I discovered, dominoes from 3 main sources: our knowledge, our behaviour, and our emotion. So I had to learn all about me first before I could lead others. And then I had to understand that everyone was different. So the interesting thing that I found was once I discovered myself, I was able to lead others so much better. So in this first chapter, there's so many different leadership styles. I wanted them to all go in there so that you could see the strengths and weaknesses. You could find out who you were, how you love to lead, but also how perhaps you could add this tool or that tool, or take out some of those tools from that toolkit that doesn't really work for us and doesn't serve us. So then once we understand how we lead, the next chapter is all about conscious, emotionally intelligent leaders. And we call them the new SEALs, because I believe personal power comes from using the right emotion at the right time. You see, even sound carries emotion. Can you give me the emotion and the sound right now of disappointment? Excitement? Sadness? Happiness? You see, it transfers even through us, even through the sound. So starting to become truly aware and emotionally intelligent is that next step in the leadership process. And then after that, the third chapter that we wrote was all about purpose, because I truly believe when you understand or create your purpose in different areas of your life, that purpose that we have for our families, the purpose we have for ourselves, the purpose we have for business, why we're working, it truly starts to help you lead better and to get up with that spring in your step. So there is so much power in understanding our purpose. And when we live our purpose, I think we start to lead that life worth living. So you get to have a look at those values that you can look at every day and make sure that we are leading the way that we want to lead. So after that, and one of my favourite chapters is actually language for leadership. It's the language that comes out through our body, through our mind, on the phone, on those emails, and starting to understand the power of that. Because the words you use determine the quality of your life. The actions that you take determine the quality of your life. Would you agree? Yeah. So these are the steps. So we're building, you see, we're building. And, one positive word has more power than hollow words. Consciously, when you change your language, you can change your life. And I believe when you do that, and you can also change the life of others. So then we've got these wonderful skills. So what comes next? We need to start to lead others. And I truly believe that if you don't learn to influence well, then someone else will be influencing your children. Someone else will be influencing your partner. Someone else will be influencing you. How do you feel about that? So this next chapter, chapter 5, is all around leadership. And leadership is not just a position, it is a conscious decision. Who here in the room is a leader? Can I see a show of hands? Please, everybody, put your hand up. Because you are all, someone will be following you. Okay, so you're all leading. And that's one of the most important things to understand is, yes, we have positional leaders around the world and we have positional spots in every company and CEOs. But it doesn't necessarily mean, as we've seen well, that they lead well. And when we get people leading well from the top, if the bottom isn't leading themselves well, it still doesn't work, does it? And when we have amazing people at the bottom that we've been training in leadership, but we're not doing it at the top, it also doesn't work. So what I've discovered is it is everybody's responsibility on this planet to be more conscious and be more present in the way that they lead, what they think, what they do. And it leads us to the last chapter. And this is your legacy. Your legacy is your true currency. So I call this chapter the conscious currency. And the conscious currency is all about what you transfer. See, every day you're transferring something, aren't you? You might be transferring something great or perhaps something not so great, maybe a little negative. And it's only when we become conscious and aware, I can alter my state in a nanosecond with my body language. But that conscious currency is all about creating legacy, those little micro legacies and those macro legacies that we create. You might have micro ones in your family. So, for instance, Christmas time. When I grew up, we had a stocking at the end of the bed. And we weren't allowed to open any presents until my family got up, till we had breakfast, and then we sat down and the youngest shared presents all the way through. So when I had children, I loved it. So I did the same thing. And now when the kids wake up in the mornings, they all help pack the chicken that they've made the night before. We do bread rolls, champagne, orange juice. We jump to the beach. We've got surfboards. We have breakfast on the beach, have a surf, come home. All of us put the turkey on, and then we sit around and share the presents. Now, did they always love that as a kid? Sometimes they wanted to rip them open. But it's a tradition, and they love that. So all the time, you're making little micro legacies that want to be transferred down. But I also want you to have a look at what is that macro legacy in the world. And for me, I love people. I hate seeing people hurt. I hate seeing people in other countries that are starving, that are living in rags in the dirt, that can't get clean water. So my heart has been working over the last 10 years, helping some of the poorest people. And, both of our books are third. One goes to Watoto and one goes to the Bombay Children's Hospital, where they're bringing in children that are dying from cancer and the doctors are looking after them for free. But we need money. Of course, it makes the world go round. So what are your legacies? What are you creating? And when I was in India, I went to the beach, because I go to the beach in every country I go to. It was so sad. At Bombay, there were so many plastics on the beach, and people were coming up and asking for a photo. And I was saying, well, if you pick up a bag of rubbish, let's have a photo. They didn't know who I was, but they just wanted a photo. So we were doing this and collecting rubbish. And then the next time I went to that beach a year later, there was a whole classroom down there. They created a movement. So you never know what happens from something that you do. And we started on the straws, and now look what's happening with the straws around the world. We're having paper straws, and we're using metal straws. And I'm in hotels at the moment, so I'm really hoping the Crown will be listening to this. I was so surprised. They rushed to the bathroom and opened the door, expecting them to be sustainable and looking after the future. And we still had these little plastic bottles everywhere. At least they didn't have those little metal pieces, you know, that cover the tops. A lot of the times people open them in the shower, they fall into the shower, and then what happens? It goes down into our oceans, into our fish, and what happens from there? The birds catch the fish, and we've had birds falling from the sky. They're cutting them open, and they're full of plastics. And same with our fish. We need to think a little bit more. When we're in hotels, yes, you can have fresh towels every day. How wonderful. We should deserve that, shouldn't we? But do we need it? No. Just think, if you don't wash that towel every day, how much water you are saving on this planet. And isn't that important? So even though you think that one little thing that I do is not going to make a difference, I say it will. And I say together we can all make a difference. What if the future of this planet was a reflection of the way you lead? Well, I truly believe the future is you. Thank you.